Making mistakes with streaming is extremely normal, but learning from those mistakes is the key to growth. In this video, we're going to give you an ultimate guide to the 10 mistakes that most streamers make that are holding them back from growing their channels. Welcome back to the Streamloots YouTube channel, where our goal is to help you every step of the way. A lot of the mistakes we're going to talk about in this video are things that I've learned from personally and things that I've seen others learn from in their journey with streaming. And we know this isn't going to be an exhaustive list because there are probably other things that you've experienced that we won't mention in this video, so we'd love to know from you what some of the mistakes are that you've made in the comment section below. We'd love to know what you learned from that mistake, what you did to change, and also how it's impacting your growth now. If you follow the advice in this video, I guarantee you're going to be better set up for growth. As usual, if you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Before we get into the video, I want to remind you that if you're a streamer looking to boost your engagement with your community and boost your revenue, you need to check out Streamloots. Streamloots is a card-based interaction for your viewers to support you and troll you at the same time. The cards they get are fully customizable by you, the streamer, and they can play them during your live streams to force you into interactions during your game. Needless to say, it creates incredibly funny and memorable moments for your community. I've been using Streamloots for the past year and a half, and it's been one of the best additions I've ever made to my content. To begin boosting your interaction with your community and boosting your revenue, make sure to go to streamloots.com and sign up for a free account today. All right, let's talk about some mistakes. All right, the first and possibly biggest mistake that any streamer can make is not planning ahead. Now, keep in mind, this is a mistake that I've made. As you've probably already learned, there's a lot of things that can go wrong during your live streams. Technical difficulties, spammy and trolly chatters, gotta love them. Your mic is muted, the gameplay isn't loud enough, you forgot to make an update to the game that you were gonna stream, your alerts aren't showing up. I've never done any of this. The reality is a lot of things can go wrong that are unpredictable during your live stream. Your job is to make sure you mitigate that unpredictability. If you want to have serious growth with your channel, you've got to take it seriously and you've got to plan ahead. Have a checklist for every time that you go live. Think of this like a flight plan, where you take your viewers on a beautiful, beautiful content journey. Know how you want to take off the stream. Know what you want to do to make the flight comfortable, and then know how you want to land the plane. What do you need to do before takeoff? This is a lot of the technical stuff, making sure your camera's working, the lighting's good, the sound is balanced. Then think about the journey. Where do you want to take your viewers while you're streaming? What game are you going to play? Are there challenges you're trying to accomplish within that game? What topics of conversation do you want to cover while you're streaming? And then finally, how do you want to land the plane? What things do you want to make sure to let your community know, whether it's your schedule for the next day or what you're going to be doing over the next week? Where should your viewers go if they want to see more of your content when you're not live? Minimize the role of unpredictability so that you feel comfortable with what you're about to show your viewers. Next mistake, thinking more is better. I cannot talk about this one enough. One of the biggest misconceptions out there is that the more you stream, the more you'll grow. I see a lot of young streamers doing this early on, where they feel like they have to be live as much as possible. But here's the problem. Going back to what we said earlier, I often find these streamers haven't put a lot of care and concern into the thing that they're presenting their viewers. Audio, visual, how things look, how things feel, their bio. A lot of these things are missing, and they haven't taken time to really care for their craft, and they've prioritized quantity over quality. This is also a conversation about energy. Now, I'm not saying that presence in live streaming isn't important, because it is. However, if you're not giving your best energy for every hour and every minute that you're live, you may be doing yourself more harm than good. There's no benefit in streaming 7 to 8 hours every single day of the week if it means sacrificing the content that you're producing. Along with that, you may be spending so much time live that you're not paying attention to the other things that you can be doing off stream to make your live streams much more fruitful. A good rule of thumb here is to stream when you feel you'll be most valuable to your audience. It might seem beneficial at first to stream as many hours as possible, but this can definitely weaken your viewer relationship if you're not in the right headspace. Quality over quantity. Ignoring viewers. Now, this one, when it happens, is probably not always intentional. When you start streaming, caring for every single viewer that's in your channel is extremely important. And whenever I see streamers make this mistake by ignoring viewers who are in their chat when they have anywhere from, let's say, 5 to 20 viewers, I cringe a little bit. When you start streaming, you have to be the one to carry most of the conversation. You might be thinking like, well, what about the large streamers? They've got thousands of people watching and they never talk to their chat. Well, I hate to say this, but they are the exception to the rule. Now, listen, I know you're an incredible player at the game that you're streaming, but the reality is none of that's gonna matter if you're not making connections with the people who are watching you. There's an engagement progression that happens over time as your channel grows and you have more viewers. For example, when you're in that 5 to 10 viewer range, you're gonna spend a a lot of time creating the conversation. As you grow into that 30 to 100 viewer range, you're going to find that as you've been growing that conversation with your chat over many streams, people begin to create conversations with each other. Regardless of how many viewers you ever end up with, focusing on chat engagement is extremely important for growth. Think out loud, address viewers by name, ask open-ended questions. If you struggle with talking to your chat and you don't know what to say, we actually already have a video out about thinking out loud and creating chat engagement. So make sure to click the banner at the top of the screen and watch that video as well. Simply put, don't make the mistake of ignoring the people that are taking time out of their day to watch you. All right, the next mistake, and this one might ruffle some feathers, is transactional networking. You know, quid pro quo, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, support for support, follow for follow, host for host. This transactional mindset is something that I see early on for so many people. I remember when I was getting started out, I saw so many groups on Facebook and on Twitter of people just looking to gain a follower number. Now, I'm going to tell you this, I feel like I shouldn't have to, but I'm going to because it seems like this is still a thing. It doesn't work. And here's why. Everything becomes about what you gain as opposed to what you offer. There's no real, true, organic incentive for people to come watch your channel. And what it boils down to is it becomes a cheap way to grow without the benefit of actual viewership, which is why you're doing what you're doing, isn't it? As a content creator, you're hoping to provide content that draws people to get involved in your stream and in your community. By making the foundation of your content transactional, you're missing out on one of the most important pieces of growing a channel: relationships. Transactional mindset focuses on what you get from that relationship, but a relational mindset focuses on what you can give. And I'll be the first person to tell you, people are drawn to that mentality. Finding ways to support and build others up without any expectation that that support is returned is one of the best things you can do to grow your viewership. It sounds counterproductive because it is countercultural to show support without any expectation for anything in return. The way this looks for me is that when I want to support somebody, I do that without any strings attached. I support streamers that are maybe way larger than I am because they inspire me. I support fellow streamers that are around the same size because I want to see them succeed. And I also support some smaller streamers because I genuinely see potential in their content. Your current viewers and new viewers are going to be more drawn to see that kind of support than the kind of support that expects something in return every single time you do it. So don't make the mistake of being transactional. Be relational. Thinking that proficiency with the game is more important than personality. A lot of people make the mistake of thinking that people who come to watch them are simply there to see how well they can play the game that they're streaming. And then they turn their entire content into a quest for perfection. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't get good with what you're playing, because I do think that that does draw people to come watch many content creators. However, I think a lot of people come for the gameplay and stay for the personality. What I'm saying is that there isn't anything inherently wrong with wanting to be incredibly skilled with the game that you're streaming. Don't be afraid to share more about yourself. Give people a window into that personality. Your unique interactions are the things that are going to draw people to come back and watch you more. I know for some this doesn't always come natural and it's easier to rely on the gameplay to lead the content, but there's tons of things that you can do to bring out your personality without you even having to say anything. Customizing the way that your stream looks, editing your bio so people have information about you, unique alerts and commands that represent a little bit of your brand, creating challenges for your community to achieve. And then there's things that you can do during your stream to create interactions that are unique to you. This is why I implemented Streamloots in the first place, was because it was a way for me to draw out my personality and give my viewers more of a window into who I am. If you're looking for a way to make the gameplay less of a focus and your personality more of a focus, I'd highly recommend considering Streamloots because it's a great tool to draw out your personality. And in most cases, they have collections of cards for games that you're probably already playing that create challenges and interactions around that game. Oh, and by the way, it's a way that your viewers can support you. Can your proficient gameplay be an important part of your content? Absolutely. But what makes that gameplay unique to your viewers is you. Another mistake is not diversifying your content. If you're putting all of your eggs in the basket of only providing live streaming content, you're missing out and climbing an uphill battle when it comes to growth. This is why utilizing social media and YouTube and other platforms to promote your content is extremely important. It's important because all of these things can feed into your live stream and also provide content for your community and your viewers when you're not live. There's 24 hours in the day, and if you're only live for 6 to 8 hours of each day, You're missing out on all of this time to promote your content and showcase what you do. Now, this doesn't mean you have to utilize every single platform that's out there, but you should put some focus on a few of them. Right now, I utilize Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok for social media, and I utilize YouTube for providing more long-form content like this. My Twitter account is a place where I get to share some short, quick thoughts about streaming or about life in general. I utilize Instagram to give image to who I am and what I do, and I use TikTok to showcase some of the best clips from my live streams. Utilizing multiple platforms is a great way to market yourself and keep yourself present in front of others. So, don't limit yourself and make the mistake of not diversifying your content. It might actually make more sense for you to take a day off of streaming to focus on other platforms that may potentially feed into your live stream growth. The next mistake that kind of goes along with the one that we just talked about is not utilizing YouTube. People go to YouTube for tons of different things. Tutorial and how-to videos like this one, story-driven content, gameplay, and yes, live stream recaps. Some of the most successful streamers that utilize YouTube are communicating some of their thoughts about streaming there. They're also using it to provide a gold nugget recap section from their entire stream. This gives their community more content when they're not live streaming, and it also provides another place of discoverability that feeds into their live stream. Now, quick disclaimer here with utilizing YouTube. Don't use it to upload your entire VOD from your live stream. If the entire focus of your YouTube channel is simply to have an archive of all of your live streams, you're probably not going to see a lot of traction. Instead, use it as a place to compile the best moments from your stream. Make a tutorial on some of the things that you get asked regularly, if you do, about the things that you use for your live streaming setup or for the games that you're playing. Regardless of what you decide, don't sleep on YouTube. The best thing about YouTube is that your videos will stay there forever, which makes them and you more discoverable. Next, ignoring quality. Remember what I said earlier about more not always being better? Well, that applies here too. You can have all of the equipment in the world, the best of the best, and still provide a really subpar quality experience for your viewers. And in a highly competitive industry, quality becomes really important if you're wanting to grow. Does your mic work? Does your camera work? Do you have proper lighting? Is your audio balanced? How does your mic sound? Are your overlays and alerts distracting or supporting your content? Now, I know firsthand that when you're getting into live streaming, the technical side can be extremely daunting. However, it's extremely important if this is your craft that you take it seriously and become a learner of the craft. Again, with the more is not always better. Make sure you take time off of your live stream to understand your equipment and use it properly. Doing this not only allows you to provide the best content that you can, but it also tells your viewers that you care about them enough to give them a good product. Inconsistency of your schedule. If there's one mistake to avoid, it's this one. When I say inconsistency of schedule, I'm referring to the start times of your streams and the days of the week that you stream. Humans are habitual, so when they know what to expect, they're more likely to show up. It's the reason why we know the exact date and time of the next episode of a newly released show that we love is coming out. Except in this example, you're that show. So if your stream schedule is 7 p.m. on Monday and then 5 a.m. on Tuesday and then not on Wednesday, but then again on Thursday at 6 p.m., it's going to be really hard for people to remember that. This is why it's important that your stream schedule has some consistency and rhythm to it. A good way to approach this is to find the best time of day to start streaming and then see how much you can duplicate that throughout the week. Keep in mind that if you do stream in the morning versus streaming in the midday or in the evening, there are different audiences for different times. This is because people have school or work and have different rhythms to their lives. Your job is to find the time that fits best with the audience you're trying to reach. Along with this, not giving people a heads up of when you're streaming and what you're going to be streaming is a huge mistake. Not only because they're not going to know when you're live, but also because they're not going to have something to look forward to. Now, if you're just getting started out streaming and you have no idea when to start, consider creating a schedule and sticking to it for a period of time. Evaluate that schedule, see what worked, see what didn't work, and then try something different if you feel like you need to. The most important thing is getting a reasonable sample size before you make another change for the viewers who may start to tune in during that previous schedule. Obviously, things happen that will keep you from streaming at times, but make sure to be direct with the people who follow you. It's better to communicate up front what's happening versus just not saying anything and expecting them to know. Alright, our last mistake for this video is obsessing over your viewer count. Yes, I know, this is tough. And it's because we look at that number as a measure of our success, and then when it's high one day and then low the next day, we feel like we've failed. Have you been there before? Now, some people will suggest that you turn that number off. The only case where I can agree with this is if it's getting in the way of you focusing on your content and not being distracted. Let me give you another perspective on this number. Your viewer count is simply information. And if you understand that number, you might be able to use it to make changes for the better of your content or continue to do things that are working and pour gasoline on them. This is why I'd suggest instead of obsessing over the number, assess the number. The hard thing about this conversation is it requires a lot of vulnerability and an evaluative mindset when it comes to looking at your content, because viewership is indicative of good content. Now, there's a lot of other variables externally that can impact the viewer count, such as discoverability on the platform or the time of year, the day of the week, the time of day that you're streaming. But what's most important is that you focus on the internal things that you can control. Your viewer count will go up and it will go down. That is a reality. Now, if you see over a long period of time your viewer count decreasing, it might be an opportunity to reevaluate what you're doing. This doesn't mean scrap it all together. This means that you may need to try some new things. And if you don't know what that viewer count is, you're not going to know or have a benchmark of when you should be making those changes. So, don't obsess over the viewer count number. Instead, assess the number and use it to your advantage. When you go live, stick to your plan, trust your content, and focus on providing an experience for those who are there and not focusing on who's not. Okay, one last bonus tip before we finish up this video. I just gave you a lot of advice. Don't make the mistake of overwhelming yourself with the advice of other people. Learning from others is super helpful, but it'll never take the place of actually doing it yourself and learning on your own. So, get out there, keep live streaming, and keep learning. That's it for this video, you guys. We hope that you enjoyed it, and if you did, please let us know by giving us a thumbs up. Again, we know that this isn't an exhaustive list, so make sure to drop into the comments section and let us know what mistakes you've learned from. To stay up to date with all things streaming and Streamloots, make sure to click that subscribe button and turn your alerts on so you don't miss out on the future content that we have coming out. Thanks again for watching, and we'll see you guys in the next video.